Sci-fi, Express Lane, Jeff Carroll, emergency subject. Jeff Carroll, filmmaker, writer, all that. Today I wanted to deal with kind of some backlash, breakthrough on backlash for Craven and comic book movies that I made, so comic book movies like Craven get mixed reviews. If they are probably like Joker 2, they're not getting mixed reviews. People just say, oh, that's not a good movie. But with Craven, you have two distinctive parties. One group says, yo, I enjoyed it. It's not that bad. It's not Dark Knight, Captain America. It's still good, though. It's not bad. I was worth my money. I don't mind seeing it. It is what it is. And then you have another group saying it's trash. And they don't really get too specific. Also, sometimes when they do, you understand a little bit better of why. And it was because of somebody saying, a response to why you don't like it, and they went into in-depth response on particularly the character Craven and how Craven in the comic book is a lot further along in his Cravenism than he is in the movie. And they would have rather seen him with his full regalia than seeing his origin story. And almost like it's not that it's not his origin story, and it's not that he doesn't behave like who he is. And first I was thinking, did they have a problem with these characters being seen as almost victims or understandable? And mind you, Craven the hunter is not a total villain. He's not like Joker. He's not like the Green Goblin. He's not like the Red Skull. He's not like any of these villains. He's multi-dimensional. He's like the Punisher in a sense. He's he has a list of people he targets, he goes after them. He's a freelance hitman trying to dispense not justice but karma, right? Probably is another way to understand him. And in the movie Craven, he doesn't get to demonstrate that. And he is still he almost like a hero. It's almost like you understand what he's going. He's going, saving animals. It's like it's a different dimension of this character. And the way I saw it is I saw them setting up a second Craven where there was a beautiful line that he can be considered, he could grow into the Craven that he is in the comic books. But because comic book people want to see their characters on the big screen, they want them to swing into action and already be a villain. Pretty much like how they introduced Magneto, right? Magneto came into the pre-MCU as a villain from Get, right? But when you were introduced to him, you saw his flashbacks to how he was in the concentration camps as a child. But the problem is the movie didn't let you walk around with him in that concentration camp, probably because it was so horrible, for no longer than minutes, right? The flashbacks was minutes long, and you never had to side with him. You understood him because everybody knows what a concentration camp is and the horrors that you experience in that. So it goes without saying, plus it was so horrible, you can't really do that in an all ages movie, right? So they didn't really do that. But because they didn't do that, people saw him as the villain he was in the comic books. Whereas with Craven, he has a friendlier origin story, and they let people see that. They didn't do that even with the Punisher on the Netflix Marvel shows. He was already the Punisher. Now, his season of Punisher was a little bit of his origin story, but he had a brutal origin story, so you almost understand that he had to become the Punisher right away. It didn't show Punisher from childing, from 10s and 20s, so he's already an adult when he becomes the Punisher, or develops the Punisher mentality. Whereas Craven is a different machine. I liken Craven to the Wicked Witch, right? Because neither one of them are the wicked person that they are in the source material. All of this is, and I don't know if they do his origin story in the comic book. The fanboys might be mad over nothing, because if he do his origin story for even a series, even if it's just one shot, that could be what they made into a movie, and then they're totally accurate. But if they took his origin story and said, hey, we want to get more people into Craven, so let's just expand and write out a brilliant origin story for him, and develop him later. Whereas same thing they did with Wicked. It's just that everybody knew she was a witch. Nobody really liked her. There wasn't a lot of, she died. That was the whole Wizard of Oz was about killing her. You know what I'm saying? So and to write her origin story, she don't have books where she's being wicked. Throughout, all we see is that one Wizard of Oz story. Whereas Craven, he's got series of books where he is being this bad guy. You know what I'm saying? And or being this anti-hero, being this terrorist of Spider-Man and all this other stuff. So what was that last one with Mephisto? I forgot his name. That Spider-Man villain. We never really saw a whole movie of his origin story. So I get it. That's why people can be upset with Craven. But at the end of the day, you gotta also can't let your upsetness make you delusional. And when I say delusional, you can't call a good movie bad. You kind of call it inaccurate. And that's a different critique, because that is more honest. Calling it bad acting, I don't like it. You can not like it. It could be inaccurate, and that's why you don't like it. But come on. You understand what I'm saying? They wrote a nice origin story. The other thing I would say is, adding an origin story, changing somebody's villainy status to being sort of sympathizable, is liking changing the race or changing the gender of a character. It's going to get frowned on. It's not always nice. You understand? But I get it. I personally believe that evil is not organic. If anything, being a clean slate in terms of good or bad is what is organic. You understand? So for people that are become the evilest people, whether you want to call Hitler evil, whether you want to call Jeffrey Dahmer evil, or whoever, Zodiac Killer, you name it. Whether it's Craven, whether it's the Joker, any fictional character, there's something in society that grooms, triggers, develops that person into being that evil person. Because I don't care. I don't believe in the Bible like that, where there's some Damien Omen, right? Where they're born evil from day one. I don't believe that. To me, I believe that society is responsible for all of their good and their bad people. Now, that said, okay, where does that leave us with fictional characters? I feel it's the same way. I feel that, when you're doing an origin story, you're doing that backstory of the killer, which may not be a bad thing. Many times the killers are like Carrie. They're bully victims. They're castaways from society. They're everybody hates Chris. That's a beautiful origin story for a person. And Chris is a terrorist. Chris Rock is a terrorist comedian. When you watch Everybody Hates Chris, you get an idea of why he can be so savage on the mic. Not that he does bad things, but he just don't take anybody's feelings into consideration. Whether you got alopecia, whether you too dark, whether you are whoever. And that's why people like him, because he says things that other comedians don't say. But his origin story is a whole sitcom of abuse. Everybody Hates Chris. They pick on him through the whole thing. So now when you watch that, you can get an idea of why Chris Rock, is giving you a real person as an example, right? Now, maybe everything in Everybody Hates Chris is not 100% accurate. Nobody's saying that. But what it is the sentiment of accuracy. He wasn't somebody who had a pleasant childhood. You understand? Same thing they developed in Wicked. She's the Wicked Witch. She wasn't accepted. She was green. She was teased because she was green. That's the character origin that they're given even in Wicked. So again, when you look at Craven, what did people expect him to be evil from birth? Start, going after, people from birth? Come on. So I just feel like I'm going to defend this movie because, one, I don't think it was bad, right? I'm a writer. I like when they can do these things. I remember when I read Star Wars and I was like, damn, how do evil people like the Sith live? And I remember I read The Lost Tribe of Sith, and the Sith, these are people supposed to be so evil, they will betray their own mother. They will kill their father. You understand? They'll kill their own children. And I was like, God dang, how do they have a culture? How do they live? And lo and behold, something happened to the Sith. And the Sith had started off raising their children. They were people who were sort of oppressed by somebody using the Force. And they ended up learning how to use the Force and fighting themselves out of their rough situation. And that was a loose origin story, but it wasn't a total origin story. But they still say the dark side. Maybe these people were turned on to the dark side because it seems like the dark side is older than the Sith, and the Sith just used the dark side. Either way, it was still not, these people are born Satan. Heck, let's look at Satan. Let's look at Satan. Mythological poster child for evil, right? And what happened with Satan? He was cast away. He wasn't even evil from birth. So I don't know, guys. I'm going to look at these, fanboys and say, I think any rational film producer, any rational Hollywood exec is going to come to the determination that I am making, is that if I'm trying to bring in a larger audience with my film, I have to make my character appealing, right? It's not many movies where, unless you catching the character at the end, are you able to have a story about a bad person. People ain't riding about bad. Like Jason, Freddy, all those people get caught at the end. And if you want your character to live, and they could have done him like Jason or Freddy and have him, caught at the end and then get back out and into the MCU that way. But they tried to do it this way, and I don't think Craven is a demon. There are demons, and maybe they need to do a story on a demon. So I think Hollywood execs, producers, and all the writers and all that, they're just going to put fanboys' complaints to the side because they are irrational and they need to just say what they are. It wasn't accurate to the source material, but it was an okay movie. To try to find things wrong with it because it's not the character that you thought is not cool. Anyway, that's my take. Pretty much covered all of my points. So this is definitely something that's really recent. It's going on the last 2 days. Still active thread on my Facebook. But yeah, Craven. Like, subscribe, share, and comment. I'm out.